Welcome to For the Record. I'm Ellie La Liberté. Well, this week we're sitting down with the Speaker and Minority Leader in the State Assembly to recap both the year that was and look ahead to 2026. We're breaking down everything from the two-year state budget to top issues and the future control for the chamber. We'll start with Speaker Robin Vos and then head to Minority Leader Greta Neubauer. What were the big headlines out of your chamber this year?
You know, our biggest thing that we always do is enact the budget. So it seems like forever ago, but last summer, if you remember, kind of right around the 4th of July, we had a huge bipartisan agreement. Governor Evers, Republicans, sat for weeks, negotiated a budget that invested in our priorities and it cut taxes. So if I think about the word of the year, it's really affordability. There are 5 parts in my mind for what affordability is. It's how much you pay for government, housing, utilities, food, and power, electricity. So we took care of most of those. There's really nothing we can do about food, even though the cost is way too high.
Now, I asked the Minority Leader, Representative Neubauer, this question. I asked if the state legislature had done enough on affordability this year. She said no, but it sounds like you're saying yes.
Well, we can always do more. I mean, I think we have a lot to be proud of, and unfortunately, Democrats voted no on almost every affordability measure that we brought forward, even the ones that were bipartisan. So that's really disappointing. I think we need to focus on driving down costs, which means putting more money into the hands of moms and dads and families all across the state, making sure that we deliver services in an efficient manner and that we do it in a way that helps to make our state successful, not just grows the size of government. So we're hoping to come back in January by addressing that 400-year veto that Governor Evers was proud to sign, where he's taking full responsibility for these property tax increases, and I think most Wisconsinites just can't afford it.
And that 400-year veto, I mean, that passed in the Senate during that last floor session. That's something that you would like to see the Assembly take up pretty soon into the new year, it sounds like.
It's going to come up right away, probably in January, so that we can get it on the ballot as quickly as possible next year.
And I want to move now, too, because one of the points of disagreements we saw during the last floor session was when Democrats criticized you for a move that stalled legislation over expanding postpartum Medicaid coverage for new moms. You moved this legislation into another committee, essentially blocking a vote on the floor. Yeah. Why did you make that move?
Well, Wisconsin has done a really good job over the course of the past 20 years since Tommy Thompson created Badger Care. So if you're a child in poverty, before you are born, for the 9 months before, the mom and the child are paid for by the state, right? The health insurance is free. For the 3 months after, it's also free for the mom who's just given birth. And frankly, for a child in poverty, it's free until they're 18. So we have done a really good job providing a social safety net already in Wisconsin. I think the idea of expanding welfare might feel good, but in the end, it's not good for the mom, it's not good for society, and it's certainly not the best interest of the state of Wisconsin.
And Wisconsin is just one of 2 states that has not expanded this coverage. Are you saying every other state got it wrong, essentially?
No, but what happened is Wisconsin, when we had the Medicaid expansion debate, we did something different under Governor Walker. We created a social safety net. So if you're in poverty anywhere in Wisconsin, you're already covered by Medicaid. We've already covered the folks that are in there. We've already made sure that moms have the coverage that they need. Having them stay on welfare for up to a year just really isn't necessary.
Well, this legislation passed in the Senate and does have bipartisan support in the Assembly as well. Do you think it'll go through next year, or is there going to be efforts you take to try to stall it?
Well, it's certainly possible, but I think it's unlikely.
And I want to move now, too, because in 2026, obviously, we have some elections. Now, Democrats need just 5 seats, if I'm correct, to flip the Assembly. Are you worried about losing control of the chamber?
Look, I always worry about it, but for literally over a decade, every 2 years, the Democrats say the exact same thing. This is going to be the year they're going to turn Wisconsin blue and make us look like Illinois or Minnesota.
But for the Assembly, what's the strategy to maintain control?
Do the same as we've done before. We've worked on a bipartisan basis. We're focusing on affordability. We have a multi-pronged agenda that's going to come up in the spring session. Again, focusing on the cost of housing, the cost of property taxes. How do we do with utility costs? What happens with health care? We have good solutions for all of those. And I think on top of it, you hopefully have incumbents who are running for re-election on a good record, but also realizing that the status quo isn't good enough and wanting to fight for change.
Now, we mentioned a couple things throughout the course of this interview about hot topics and things you'd like to work on coming into 2026, but are there other things that day one you would like to tackle?
So for the spring session, it's really focused on property taxes. It's my highest priority. It's the biggest thing that we've heard about. We've got to find a deal on SNAP. We are working with Governor Evers to try to put together a package to increase verification so that people don't scam the system, and also get rid of junk food so that people who are on food stamps have more nutritious food. So that's an area that I think we'll hopefully be able to get done in January. We also have something to dealing with online sports betting, where it's already happening all across the country. I guess I'd rather have somebody in Wisconsin do it, so we got the revenue here as opposed to a far off place getting the revenue. So we're going to certainly talk about that, but a lot of topics that are going to occur over the next 8 weeks. It's an exciting time to be in the legislature.
And that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thanks, appreciate your time.
In your eyes, what were the big stories coming out of the Assembly this year?
Sure. So we saw some bipartisan work happen on the state budget. It was really important that Democrats were at the table and improved that budget significantly. That made some significant investments in education, childcare, higher ed, and we prevented Republicans from cutting some essential programs in Wisconsin as well. So that was good to see. It's not the budget that will pass when we're in the majority, but it was progress to have Democrats, particularly from the state Senate, at the table. We didn't see a lot of other action from Republicans on the issues that are impacting Wisconsinites most. We know that people want us to be addressing affordability in particular.
Marquette Law School poll came out, and no surprise, affordability, cost of living was the #1 issue for voters. So overall, do you feel like the state legislature has adequately tackled that issue this year?
Absolutely not. So we're seeing people's healthcare costs go up in a real way, of course, because of actions at the federal level. And we've seen next to no action from Republicans here at the state level in Wisconsin on that issue. We put out bills on prescription drug costs earlier this year. Those have yet to get even a hearing in the Assembly or the Senate.
And what have conversations looked like with Republicans? Obviously, Democrats do need Republican support to get a lot of legislation through. Are there those conversations happening right now?
On healthcare, we have not seen much interest. We put out a bill on healthy school meals for all earlier this year that would lower grocery costs for a family of 4 in Wisconsin by about $1,800 a year. No interest in that bill either. We have seen some conversations on housing, and that's good. We did see a little money for childcare in the state budget, but again, people in Wisconsin are hurting right now. We're in the holiday season. There's a lot of expenses, and we just are not seeing our Republican colleagues take on that challenge and choose to show up and represent their constituents.
What would you like to see addressed #1 first day coming back in 2026?
It's got to be affordability. Again, we know that people are struggling, and there are many ways to get at that issue. In terms of unfinished business, we also have seen the bill to expand healthcare coverage for new moms in Wisconsin stall in this state. We know that there are enough co-sponsors of this bill in the Assembly for it to pass if it comes to the floor, and so we've been really pushing for a vote here. But Republicans have been unwilling to take a vote on this issue and to make sure that new moms and babies have adequate access to health care for a full year after that mom has given birth.
Yeah, because in November, we saw the speaker obviously move that petition into, basically that bill was then moved into another committee. Have you talked with the speaker about moving that forward at all?
We've been working for many years, and the speaker has been pretty clear that he does not support this bill. It's hard for us to understand when we're talking about essential, in some cases, life-saving health care for new moms in Wisconsin. My hope is that his caucus, our Republican colleagues, will push on him to say, this is something that the people of Wisconsin want, it's the right thing to do, and we can't allow this to stall any longer.
And so you think the pressure from fellow Republican colleagues for the speaker would be the way to move this roadblock out of the way?
I hope so.
And continuing this kind of look ahead to 2026, what would a successful year in the Assembly look like?
Well, we've only got a few months left of legislative session. We do hope that our colleagues will address the challenges facing our education system, that they will look at these affordability issues. We hope that we can think long term and look at the challenges facing our infrastructure in Wisconsin, making sure that we're supporting everybody to have access to the outdoors and clean drinking water and air. Protecting our rights and freedoms, especially as they've been under attack by Republicans in Washington.
And I want to talk to a little bit about this control of the Assembly, because Assembly Democrats need 5 seats to flip it. What's the strategy to do that?
Yeah, so last year we picked up 10 seats, including some very close seats that were held by Republican incumbents. We've got 5 more to go. The path is clear. These are all districts that Democrats have won at different levels of the ballot, and we are recruiting great candidates who are very connected to their community. We've got teachers and coaches, small business owners, veterans, folks from public safety, farmers. These are folks who know their communities, who have struggled, who understand that their neighbors are looking for better from the state legislature, and who are ready to get here and work hard for their communities.
And do you think that's realistic to flip the Assembly?
I do, yeah. 5 more seats to go. It looks like it's going to be a good year for Democrats because people are not very happy with what's going on in Washington right now.
Thank you for sitting down with us.
Thank you.